All right, welcome to Typology Gifts. I'm Dan. I'm here with. I want
Hi.
to make sure I say your name right. Is it Haruna?
It is Haruna, yes.
Awesome. Got it right on the first try. Um, Welcome to those who are joining. This is Typology Gifts. I make videos about typology stuff. I have a website with gift recommendations for people based on personality type, and I type people for free, and they let me put their typing videos on the channel, and that gives us all something to watch and think about, and then um, I show my work. I show my work as I go, and that way you have something to watch after the fact, because then you can, if I can't explain why I came to some kind of conclusion, you can probably draw some conclusions by watching me draw conclusions, I guess. Um, so, and I guess I would just say disclaimer. Typology is not necessarily science, although I think that you can approach it in kind of a scientific way where you're observing and trying to be unbiased and coming up with hypotheses and testing those hypotheses. So you can do a little science with it, but don't take it too seriously. That's what I tell people. And it can be used for self-growth and to understand other people a little better. That's probably as serious as I would recommend people take it.
Absolutely.
Okay, and so what I'll do then is I'll just be asking you a lot of questions. Have you seen videos I've made before up to this point? Any?
I've seen like a little bit of one, but I purposely
Okay.
did not watch it because I wanted to be like completely unbiased about it.
Okay. So my general format is two roughly half hour, 20 minutes to half hour long videos. The first half is uh, kind of to build an idea of what I think I see, and then the second half is usually telling you what I think I see, and then us talking about it, and just having a conversation and seeing where we end up. So
Got it.
there's a, it's not necessarily as definitive maybe as some people might wish it was, but the fact that we can talk about it and you can have an outside observer might help you get some information that you
Right.
couldn't normally get.
Mhm.
So, all right, we're off to the races then. So the first question I like to ask people just to get things started, there's no wrong answer to this. You don't have to worry about, am I saying things a certain way and whatever, because I'm listening between the lines. I'm not just listening to what you're saying, listening to how you're saying it, and listening to what you're talking about. And we'll dig in deep. But the first question I like to ask is, broadly speaking, would you say that you are more proactive or reactive type of person?
I think, I honestly don't know because I would like to say 100% I am more proactive, and that's kind of how I see myself because I'm always planning ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But in fact, this question is really hard for me to answer because I've actually looked into what exactly is proactivity versus reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I'm still not clear about it as it applies to myself. But I would like to think that I am ahead of most situations and I like to plan for it. And I'm not just reacting to situations. I don't even know if I'm making any sense at this point.
Sure, sure. Well, what do you think proactivity means? What do you think it means to be proactive?
Well, from what I'm understanding, proactivity is more like when um, you are getting ahead of the situation. So before the situation even occurs, you are able to see kind of a ripple effect of possible outcomes that may happen, and then you are planning for it. So that situation doesn't even happen in the first place. Whereas reactivity is kind of when a situation happens, you are fixing it as you react to it. So a situation happens, you see the situation and then you think like, oh well, what can I do next time or something like that, right? And then you are kind of just reacting to it as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
seeing the bigger picture and taking a step back and saying, okay, but what is the core of what is wrong with the situation and then predicting it. So I would like to think that I'm actually a more proactive person,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think I'm reacting to the situation, but yeah.
If you could wave a magic wand and change something about your personality in regards to proactivity and reactivity, what would you change?
I guess it's more so relating to, I think it's, when I think reactivity, I think, for some reason, I think emotional reactivity.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to particularly in emotions, I do think that I am rather reactive. So if I had a magic wand, I
Mm-hmm.
would try to make it so that I am proactive about being able to understand my feelings and my emotions, so that in uh, when something emotional occurs, I understand my emotions. That's what I would
Mm-hmm.
fix with this magic wand, is to fix the core of my emotions.
Okay. Do you think so? You struggle to a degree, or let's say that it takes you some time to unpack your own emotions, kind of.
Right, right. So, like I said, it's like when it comes to strategies and planning, I am proactive.
Mm-hmm.
But when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to things that involve my emotions or other people's emotions, I think that's when I can become reactive, because I'm not unpacking what I actually feel or what other people feel. So that's what
Got it.
I would use that magic wand for.
Got it. Got it. So, okay, that's good to know. Um, no, there's so many different directions we can go from here. How how do you how well do you do with when unexpected things happen? So like somebody shows up unexpectedly, or um, I don't know. You'd have to fill in the blank of what your life is like, but like, maybe you can think of some example where something unexpected happened, and how did you do with that?
So I'm actually, when it comes to unexpected situations, I'm actually okay with it. I'm rather kind of like a go with the flow kind of a person. I'm able
Hmm.
to navigate my way. Um, I will, I mean, quite obviously, react to things that are more unfamiliar to me. So when it comes to emotions, or I can imagine like work situations in which I'm not prepared for something, and this uh, something is presented to me, like you have to do this. That's when I get kind of like overwhelmed
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
it comes to, yeah. But when it comes to the moment, like if somebody shows up at my door or something, I'm usually okay with that. So for the most part, I'm okay with just going with the flow.
Hmm. When what's the other part of that? So you said for the most part you're good with going with the flow. What's the part when it ends up being it's not working?
Right. So it's usually when it comes to memorization.
Hmm.
And I think it's one specific thing that I can like think about, and when it requires, like when it's about academics or like a work situation where I'm not prepared to speak. I
Hmm.
guess that's what it is. It's the speaking. When I'm not prepared to speak or something, but then the attention is on me, like you need to present or you need to speak about details or facts or numbers or something, that's when I can react rather, I guess, flustered, because those are
Hmm.
not things that I'm constantly 100% in the present about. I have to gather it. So when I
Hmm.
have to gather those details and facts and numbers, that's when I get flustered. But when it comes to just basic everyday things that may happen, I'm okay with just going with the flow.
Okay. If you had your preference, would like obviously as we go through life, like some things have to be improvised and some things have to be planned out. Like there's no way to get around it.
Right.
Um, like you can plan to go to the DMV, but you can't plan what's going to happen when you get there because
Right.
you have no idea.
Right.
Um, some people would plan out literally everything if they could in their sort of happy environment. Obviously you
Mm-hmm.
can't do that. Some people would prefer to not have to plan at all. They would rather just they would rather just show up.
Mm-hmm.
And either that could be for a number of reasons. That could either be they're not good at planning, or it could just be that planning is uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Um, so like in a scenario in a situation where you're at your most comfortable, I guess. Do you lean one way or the other in that realm of um, improvisation versus planning, I guess?
Right. I think I would like it to be more planned, but I'm actually strong with improvisation. Like I'm not too flustered if at my most comfortable state. I
Mm-hmm.
am okay with. In fact, I almost expect that things are not going to go the way I planned. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
really what I expect. So on any given day, I will have an idea of what my day would look like. But
Mm-hmm.
if something were to happen unexpectedly, then it's like, okay, well, so be it. That's my
Mm-hmm.
usual comfortable uh, mentality.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to like plan every single detail, but what catches me is those like moments where I have to present or when the attention is actually on me or when I
Mm-hmm.
have to speak about facts or something that needs to be 100% sure and perfect. That's when I get flustered.
Mm. And what's your reaction when you get flustered? What happens?
Um, yeah, like I freak out. Like,
Like outwardly or inwardly?
both. It's like you will know that I'm nervous, and then
Uh-huh.
internally I'm kind of also like, oh my god, like I don't remember things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What kinds of things are you good at remembering?
Um, I'm good at remembering things that do have meaning to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, for example, I don't like the questions like because I've done typing sessions before.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the questions. Tell me about your childhood because
Oh,
I
geez. I
I'm
make a
like
point never to ask that one because
yeah I'm like
that's
because I
that can be
don't
a very traumatic territory to go into.
right or any instance for that matter where you tell me okay well remember something specific or like tell me
Mm-hmm.
about it is what I'm bad at because I will be good at remembering one certain thing that kind of represents something about me,
Mm-hmm.
but not really the details or specific things, which is why I think the facts and numbers thing freaks me out because those are things that I have to be 100% sure of. And I can't really improvise that. Whereas when it comes to um, talking about something that's not factual, I guess I'm rather good at remembering.
Okay. Um, but what about what kinds of things when you're learning them, what kinds of things are easy for you to retain versus hard for you to retain?
Song lyrics are pretty easy for me to retain.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but again, I think it's because it means something to me, so I'm remembering it, and I can actually remember that quite well. But for some reason, when it comes to just remembering for the sake of remembering, I can't
Mm-hmm.
do it. But yeah, like if you told me to like uh, you know say a lyric from like my childhood, I think I could even bring that up for some odd reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Novelty things, I guess.
Um, so how do you navigate life with a poor memory? What do you do?
I've never actually had a. Oh, okay. You're saying in terms of it on a time where I have to just know and remember things. I do
Yeah.
a lot of what do you call post-its? A lot
Uh-huh.
of like writing things down and
Mm-hmm.
um for example, if somebody were to tell me to do something, I have to summarize it or like say it back to them because I don't I know that I don't have a good memory when it comes to the step by step. So I almost have to
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so basically what you're saying is,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of how I navigate through it.
So, what do you do with those post-it notes?
I mean, it's just there, and I remember it. I guess.
No, I mean, like, do you put them on your wall, or do you put them on like a sticky
Yeah,
board,
yeah,
or do you
yeah,
put them
yeah,
on your
yeah.
computer?
Exactly. Yeah, it's on my planner or
Okay.
my calendar.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
I even keep like my notes, and my phone
Hmm.
is insane. Like, it's just a bunch of like things I have to remember to do.
So, do those systems work for you?
It does. It
Okay.
helps me too. Because okay, that is one thing about me is that I'm not the type of person to. I'm not so forgetful to the point where I can't function. In fact, I'm
Hmm.
very highly functioning. I'm just my. I think my point is just that I'm not that good with like remembering things, but I can function just fine. I've never missed deadlines. I'm,
Why don't you miss deadlines, do you think?
because I just know how to plan to get it done, or I consider them to be. Um, I never thought about that. I don't miss deadlines because there's an importance to it, I guess.
Why is it important?
I don't I don't know, because it's something I have to get done, I guess. It's I have to yeah, like I have to do it. So I guess I when something is when there's a deadline, I think I'm more apt to following it.
Hmm. Do you work better when there is a deadline? Do you
Yeah.
prefer having a deadline?
Yeah.
And whenever you have a project and you have a deadline, do you like to front load the work or work on it steadily throughout, or backload it towards the end?
Steadily throughout. I think that's
Hmm.
why I like the deadlines, maybe, is that I
Hmm.
can kind of plan it ahead of time.
Hmm.
Whereas when you don't give me a deadline, it's like I think I'm gonna get frantic.
Hmm.
So I do like that planning process. I think that's why the deadlines kind of push me to get it done.
Right. And so, do you end up giving yourself deadlines, like when when there isn't a deadline?
Right, yeah. When there is no, it really depends on what it's for, though. Um, yeah, I think I'm good at prioritizing what needs to be done, and that's how I create the deadlines for myself, I guess. So it's just kind of what I view as the most important, and that's how I place my deadlines.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, so let's see. How well do you do in situations where you are put on, like, I don't know if you've done group projects or things like this, or had direct reports, like at a job or whatever, but like, how
Mhm.
well did you do in situations where you had to basically take the lead of the situation?
I'm actually pretty good at it. In fact, I tend to be one of the, I don't like to do it, but I tend to be in the leader. So in a group situation, I am that one that's like kind of keeping tabs, like, wait, did we do this, or wasn't this supposed to be done?
Hmm.
So yeah, I do end up taking the initiative in leadership positions.
Okay. Do you tend to do that uh, naturally? Like do you want to get into that situation, or is it sort of just like you're open to it and then it ends up happening?
I usually in the beginning I try not to, because I don't
Hmm.
like that kind of a responsibility put on me. But
Hmm.
for some reason, it turns out that people will just kind of delegate me to be the leader,
Okay, why do you think they do that?
because I think I mean, I think I'm the most knowledgeable. I tend to be the most knowledgeable
Hmm.
about something.
Hmm.
And I think people can see that regardless of, like, even if I'm like, because I'm usually the quiet one in the group that doesn't say anything, but for some reason
Hmm.
people just kind of put it on me. And I think it's because regardless of whether I'm quiet or not, I tend to be the most knowledgeable about the topic when asked. So they trust that knowledge and they'll be like, well, you seem to get it.
Hmm.
And then I end up being the leader. So it's not really that I'm like, oh, I'm the leader,
Right,
but I tend to just get that role.
right, right, right. So, do you accept it because you think you probably agree with them? That you are the
Yeah.
most competent, right? You're like, well, obviously everyone got it, so
Yeah.
everyone understood that I'm the most competent.
Right. So yeah, I do tend to like, I mean, I'm fine with it and I'll just take it. And
Hmm.
I know it'll get done. So
Hmm. 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 Okay, so they just have the sense that you are the most competent among them to get it done.
right, right. And I think that also has to do with the fact that I'm the firstborn child too. So
Hmm.
I think I naturally am able to just deal with whatever is thrown at me.
Mm-hmm,
Even if
mm-hmm,
I don't, even if I don't want to, I think I'm okay with just navigating my way through it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, so you do you do pretty well when there's like a predefined process for something, and you just have to follow it, basically?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do that well. Like if there was, you're saying if there was like maybe some kind of a syllabus or something, and then you just have to like follow it through.
Yeah, it could be syllabus, or like on the job, it could be like a handbook, or it could also be, sometimes there's like a protocol that you have to follow to do for HIPAA, or for
Yeah,
some, you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
you'll
yeah,
the rules, let's call them the rules. Somebody wrote them, but
yeah. But oddly enough, I don't actually memorize the rules at all. And I don't think about the rules, but it just naturally aligns with the rules.
uh-huh.
It's
Right, right. But what I
yeah,
mean is
because
you're good at
yeah,
figuring them out, right? Is what I'm saying
yeah, like
here.
I just exactly like I just kind of figure it out, and
Hmm.
yeah, I've never had a problem with that.
Do you think that other people around you struggle figuring out the rules?
Yeah, yeah, I do. It's kind of well because I also believe that there's a balance between following the rules and just kind of do you know what like I think
Hmm.
you just have to also understand the point of the rules, whereas I
Hmm.
do think that there are some people that it goes two ways. It's either somebody who gets way too caught up on the rules to not be able to navigate, or they're the kind of people that are just going about doing their own thing. And
Right.
I do think, if I say so myself, I do think that I have that good line of just uh, following where I think I'm supposed to go, and then also
Hmm.
being like, okay, well, it does say this anyway.
Hmm. Hmm. So, how much of an individualist are you, and how much are you? I mean, I guess if you're out front, then you're kind of, even if you are following the rules, you're still leading, I guess, to a
Right.
degree.
When it comes to individualism, I do think I'm rather individualistic.
Hmm.
I don't, I actually don't do wells when people place rules on me.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I like to do it my own way. I hate being
Hmm. Hmm.
watched. I hate being monitored and
Hmm.
micromanaged. And in fact, when I'm like that, I tend to kind of get like, oh my God, get away from me. Like I need to figure it out on my own. Like,
Right, right, right.
yeah.
Do you have a sense? Do you kind of feel like you have a sense of knowing when you're being watched?
Oh yeah, definitely. No, that's why I don't like it, because it's like it's I have my own way of navigating. If somebody
Uh-huh.
told me like how do you do it, I can't tell you how I do it. So I don't like being watched and
Right.
having somebody be like, "Hey, like you see what you did there? That's wrong." Because in my opinion, it's like, no, it's not, because at the end of the day, I got the results, or like I
Hmm.
did it my way.
Right,
Like
right, right.
you should watch me.
Right, right, right.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Let's see here. So let me ask you this then. Let's say that you're in a group, right? And I'm gonna give you a hypothetical because I just want to hear what your logical
Right.
process would be for how you would solve a problem like this. Let's imagine that you're in a group and it happens that you are the leader of the group, and um, someone, two people in your group are having a emotional confrontation of some kind. Doesn't have to be angry, but the
Hmm.
point is they're both emotionally worked up.
Yeah.
What do you what do you decide to do at that point? You're in that situation. Obviously, you want your team to be effective. So how do you negotiate that? How would you imagine you would, anyways?
I don't butt into that.
Uh huh.
I'm on the belief that whatever issues they may have, they can figure it out on their own.
Mhm.
And I would say hash it out, do what you got to do, but then
Mhm.
just figure it out yourself. I'm not the type to enforce it on them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've actually had situations like that. That was my method, and it worked.
Did you tell them outright? Where you're like, listen,
Oh yeah, no,
you
I
need to
said
work this out.
yeah. Well, because I've
I'll
been
be
in
over here
Mhm.
if
No,
you
I've
need
been
me.
in management positions. So
Uh huh.
I've worked in like sales for like 10 years. So I've had situations in which they would argue about whose sale it was and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm the kind of person that I'm not going to dip into that. I'm not a babysitter, but you
Right.
all can like step aside, go in the office, hash it out, do your thing, and then come back. You better be okay. Like,
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. What's your relationship with like creativity and art, music, anything like that? Have you done anything in any of the creative realms?
yeah, my major is actually in communication and digital
Mm-hmm.
media. So yes, like for example, video, digital, anything digital. So video, I mean, video editing, social media,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Yeah, I if that's a definition of creative, then yes. I am
Yeah, yeah.
not creative in terms of like drawing and things like that. No,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not creative. But when it comes to creative ways to do something, creative ways to get something done, or even like creative on the computer, yeah.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so we're just about at the halfway point. I'm gonna end it here, and we'll take a break. And to those watching at home, please switch the cassette tape over to side B. Remember those?
Oh my god.
Remember those? All right.
Yes.
See you in part B, friends.